Hello people, I want to show you what I learned about this mixer. Um, yeah, I think this mixer is going to probably be the best bet if you want to do what you want to do here, because there's modes up here, right? So the left is live mode, the middle is PC mode, and the right is MTR, which stands for Master Track Recording. I guess that's what it stands for. When I first got this mixer, I wasn't expecting, I did expect recording in it, but I didn't expect all the things that I'm going to tell you about. So, with Master Track Recording, you can hit each of these channels and record them individually, and real simple. So you just highlight those in live mode or PC mode, and when you play them back, you switch them to MTR. That's as easy as it is. You don't have to do anything in the LED display or anything. And so when it's an MTR, it's going to play back any track that's played. What's cool about that is you can actually, like, say you have hardware like this, my hardware, hooked up, and it's playing automatically through, or PC mode, which I'm going to get to. It's a new thing I just found out this week. And if you play back in MTR mode, you can actually, whatever's playing will always be playing, and you can master it and mix it in and record it via something else, like on your computer. So there's that option. There's another neat thing. Inside the panel here, if you connect it to the computer, there's a music folder. And what I learned is, when I learned about the Master Track Recording, at the same time you can put a song in the music folder, but you'd have to do it on the PC side, and then you can play it back and designate it. There's a video on it, but you can designate it on any track, and then you can layer and master things over it. I'm not really critiqued about that too much, but I'm going to get to what I really wanted to get. So live is what I've been primarily doing. So I got 5 instruments here, or machines, and so, I can play them all live. But I just found out this week, is that there's, I'm going to start a new project. Let me change the beat per minute to 149. I'm going to change my bars to 1 bar. This is how I do it. And then I'm going to change my first track into beat. And then my second track is going to be pat. And my third track will just do bass and have a little fun with bass. And then my 4th track, I'm going to make it percussion. B-R-C. And then I switch it to the B bank, because then I save it, and I give it today's date. Let me see, it's today the 6th. Yes. So now I had to update the software on this MPC, because I was on like 1.9. And I had to be, or I was on something like 2.9, and I had to be on 2.10 for this. What I'm about to show you is amazing, and I might want to upgrade this mixer. I paid this mixer off. I've been keeping it super clean with the dust cover. I have a customized dust cover that I ordered from digitaldeckcovers.com, and I'll show you that at the end. And so my track 6 is my drum machine, but what I can do is I can, with the upgrade to the version on the MPC, which is 2.10, but I'm on 2.11, so I have this upgrade too now. So what I can do is, there's a USB here which I can also use. There's a SD card in here for recording and playback, and then there's a smart USB connector It's like the one that looks like the Apple thing, and that has a little wire and it's a USB on one end. So you can connect that, and then like if I were to record a track, I can dump it on the PC by going to menu and storage, and then connecting to the PC. Say connect, say yes, and then you know it's like a hard drive. It pops up, and you pull your track down and have your track on your PC. But this update on the MPC allows you to use USB without any audio wire, and you can actually have them communicate with each other. And then what you can do is you can put outputs. So the MPC is capable of having these routing outputs, and it's all digital with this mixer. So you have it on PC mode. I figured this out when I looked it up on YouTube, but I figured it out. I said it's got to be in PC mode, if anything, because I understand live is like what's ever coming in physically, and then MTR is playback mode, but PC mode here. So I'm going to go into my libraries, and I'm going to grab a beat. I like grabbing, let me see, so for example, so right now you don't hear nothing. That's because the way you got to set this up is you got to go to menu, preferences, and then go to, on the left panel there's a list. You go to audio devices, and it says you have to check 32 inputs. That's another thing. You get 32 outputs out of the MPC that you can channel 32 channels. That's amazing. So you have this 32 outputs, and you got to check mark that, and it stays check marked once you do it. But when you turn the MPC on, unless you save the project after you've been configuring and made that, it's set. But you have to go to internal, and you got to switch it to where it shows your mixer, and it probably works with other mixers too that are smart mixers. So now I switched it, I turned the knob, and it shows that I'm on the Tascam Model 12 at USB with FF 500,000, and it has that, so that means it's done. So now I'm going to go into, let me get on beat for my track, browse. Now listen, you're going to hear so now the mixer has it open to hear the samples, and you can route them. So this is how it works. Let me see, that beat's pretty cool. Let me play it again. I like that one. So I'm going to load that. So what I basically do is I go to program mode, and I just cut the beat right there in program mode, because instead of going in and editing, I could just like cut the beat and make the loop without splicing it or cutting it or anything like that. So that's kind of how I do that. And then I go back to my home and go to beat, and I'm going to draw this in here. Alright, here we go. And then the next step is, when I go to home, I go to the eye thing, and you hit, there's the eye thing that gets crossed out where you show your little panel for the volume right there, and you go to program, and you leave it on program, but you switch the output, and it has like, it goes all the way from subs from the left all the way to outputs that are like together, like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 and 8, 9 and 10, 11, 12, You go to the output you want, that's just output 1, output 2, output 3, and you put it right there on output 1 for my beat. So, hold on, I'm wrong here. I screwed up. There's pad mode, but then there's sample mode. So sample mode shows a pad that's full. It doesn't show the 4 pads. So in sample mode, it shows you that B2, that's on B2, and then on the bottom it says program. You switch program and it starts that program, and then you go sub 1, 2, and then it goes all the way up to 8, and then it goes output 1 and 2, and then they're all together till it hits 32, and then you go to output 1. So that's where I want output 1. Okay, so that's set on output 1. It's next to the I where it says hide. It's a full B pad. That is your sample going to output 1. Okay, so I like saving as I go along. So I'm going to save this, and then I'm going to go back, and I'm going to find the hi-hat. And usually I put my hi-hat on pad 6 above the beat. So I'm going to draw my hi-hat in. And this is going to be very explanatory right now. I'm going to save it. Oh wait, let me go into the pad. So I go to main menu, I hit the I, and then I go right there, it's on the pad, the full one next to the I. It says B6, which is that program. Where does it want to go? We're going to put it on output 2, so that's going to be my hi-hat. And I'm going to save it. Let me get a bass line. I have to go into a whole new directory because these loops that I have didn't even have bass lines. But I got all kinds of loops. Let me see here. Open that, bass loops. I usually put my bass line next to my kick, my beat. And what I like about doing my sampling inside program mode is it's real easy. You just switch to the Q link on the end, and whatever you hit from S to end, you know, you can turn the bottom knob and just zoom in and cut it. It's like a technique that you would understand if you knew what editing was. So I don't want all that. I want that. So I'm gonna put it under. It's already tracked out on channel 3, but I have to take the I off. Do I have bass? Yeah, I have bass. And then I'm going to draw this in. And this is just an experiment here, so let's actually cut the bass down a little more graphical. I'm going to do 16 bar count. So bass. Okay, here we go. And then I got to route it physically. It's on program for pad number B3, which is the third one, next to the beat kick, which is the second one. The hi-hat's on the 6th one. So I'm going to B3 here on the pad program. I'm going to scroll all the way over to output 3, and that's it. I'm going to save it, and I'll show you how it works right now. So I saved it. Go back out, and let me just get to mute. So, okay. So everything here is in PC mode. We got channel 1, which is the kick. channel 2 hi-hat, and channel 3 is the bass. Now you see where I'm getting, right? Like, I could have a 12 channel strip and have everything on individual channels with this. So here's my kick at 149. Let me see where I'm at for my, yeah, I'm 149. And this is just the drum machine here. There's the kick. Let me structure the bass up a little better. I'm gonna add a plug into it to make it sound better. I basically put a reverb on that bass, and that sounded pretty sweet. So what I like about the update is when I got this thing out of the box, I never did the update. I just kind of, started messing with it straight off the bat. And, I heard Mark Gardner's like, well, the first time it's like the second he got his MPC, he updated it. And then I just started looking around, and last week I came across, I was watching the URL After Dark, and he's like, well, he got to the part where he's like, my MPC only has one output. And I was like, whoa, wait a second. You know what I'm trying to do? I'm trying to track my stuff on my mixer. And he was, and I wasn't like in there talking to them, but I was watching the show. I watched the whole show, Mark. I know you're going to be on in 2 weeks. Okay, so he's like, mine only has one output. And I went, wait a minute. Mine has more than one output? So I looked on the website because I was at work at the time, And I looked at the website, and this one has, physically, it has like considerably mono. I think there's 6 outputs mono. And I was like, man, well, what I'm trying to do, I'm thinking to myself, I'm trying to figure out how to channel the MPC because I know it's capable, it has outputs. Well, the way it works is that there's 2 USBs in the back. There's a FireWire, which is used to connect from the MPC directly to the PC. That's what the blue wire is for. But there's 2 USBs in the back, and so I was using just one of them for my flash drive that has all my loops in it. All right. So I went, okay, and then I saw the video, and I was like, wow, you can really do this with my mixer. So I dropped a link to Mark just to let him know in case he's curious about it, but the whole reason to do this, the whole reason for this, is to have a mixer so you can control everything. So I'm going to get back to that. As you can see on my track 7 and 8, I have the microfreak. Okay, so I'm going to get to it. Okay, so let me get a percussion going, and I'm just like, let me see here, sequence, let me see. See, I just want that noise, I want that one noise. But, okay, so there's something that Mark figured out when he first got it, and my MIDI, since this is the last of the MIDI chain, my MIDI triggers off some pads, so I always, my alternate to that fix is just put it on a different pad, but he had it sorted, and you know, he's like a god when it comes to getting what he wants. But okay, so I just want that one little noise, that one, not that one. And what I love about this is, see, when I'm in program mode and I go, that's not it. I just zoom in and I take the start and I bring it to the end, and then I want noise. Okay, I'll take that. Let me go ahead and put it on a pad. So I go back to my eye. Well, I gotta make a track for it. It's not a percussion. I would say it's more of a note. I'll write note. Do it, and then I'm gonna put it. It's pad 8. I'm gonna put it on output 4. And then I'm going to draw it in. Let me see, draw. And I'll save that. And that'll be the end of this segment of the show. Okay, so now I picked my sample, I sliced my sample, I went in, I designated my sample to the channel output, and then I drew my sample in and I saved it. And there's nothing else I did, I saved it. So now, I add an effect to it. And if I don't like that, what I like is that I can go and this is what I loved about the production of it, of the MPC. Okay, so I kind of like that. So I hit the pad and I hit load and it loads the sample right over that. So I can easily just, by having a physical pad, I can say I don't want that noise and I can load another noise over it. And I see I cut it down. So everything now is just, it's just like that. So watch, it's gonna play it. Like effects is the same in there that I put on there. Now it needs to be drawn. Or I could just kind of make the sample a little bigger, so it's actually, so I go in the program mode and I just drag it out a little more and watch. So say that it's not the full count right there, I can drag it out a little more and make it. But what I try to really do is make my own samples, and there's a whole analogy of how the MPC can, you know, you can make musical notes and stuff, and it really, see, so that sounds off. I go to warp, and warp says it's at 62.50 beat per minute. So that's going to be really fast, because the less beat per minute means that it's going to be a lot faster. It actually makes it faster. Watch, I'll show you. Watch. See how fast that was? So all you do is you hit warp, and stretch is a different thing. It's kind of used for like, you know, like if you play beat melodies in, you can stretch and warp. Stretch and the beat per minute are relatively the same. They allow you to change the length time ratio of it. So you just hit warp, double click the beat per minute, and you'll see a divide by 2 or times 2. You just hit that times 2, it multiplies it, so it makes it real. And instead of it now not being in warped mode, it actually takes any sample at any beat per minute by multiplying or dividing the ratio of the beat per minute, makes it perfectly fit with what you're doing at any beat per minute you're using at your master beat per minute. So I'm going to save that, and now you can see. Watch. Okay, now you see that's a little too fast. That's where you can go in and change the stretch of it. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the sample and stretch it out a little longer, so it should fit into the bar count. And I'll save that, and that's basically it. So see, I already have 4 channels here. I have actually one more channel to do, and this is why I actually feel like I want to upgrade. I already bought this, you know, but where I bought it from, they say that you can return it and exchange it for something. I don't know what the value would they would give me, but this thing is still brand spanking new because I keep it clean with the dust cover. But yeah, I wouldn't mind having like a 16. I don't know about the only reason why I don't like the other ones is because the top has all the inputs. I like the back having inputs, so I'll probably just stay with this. But here's one more thing to know. So basically, you have at the end of all these mixers, you have after 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6, you have 7 and 8, 9 and 10. Now, if you look at your LED, you'll see that you have all these channels that show your graphic lines. And the first one goes 1, goes up to 6, and then there's a 7/8. Okay, but then down here they say select, they go 1 to 8, okay, and then they have 9 to 12. So you click 9 to 12, and well, 1 to 8 is your last one out of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then 7 and 8. Then 9 to 12 shows you one here. It says 9, 10, and then it says main. Okay, so here's a catch here. When I first got the mixer and I recorded, I wasn't sure. So basically, your very last channel, 9 and 10, supposedly, I think both of these are stereo feature, but the last two channels are your master mix. And this is where it gets messy. So you can use 7 and 8 as a channel, but don't use 9 and 10 because 9 and 10 is actually channel 11 and 12. This is how the mixer is. It's a 12 channel mixer. So when you, like for instance, I made a song when I just figured this out, but I used 7 and 8 for something, and then I used 9 and 10. And when I completed my recording, you get all your tracks when you move the file over to your computer. You well, when you open it up, you'll see like you have track 1 all the way to 12. Okay, so usually I would always, like when I recorded my hardware and stuff, I would always use track 11. There was a reason for that, because track 12 comes in a little like hot. It sounds hot. It doesn't sound as vibrant. It's hot. It's like a little distorted. So I don't know why it does that, but basically, from what I understand, that I did understand from, they were saying, you know, you don't want to use your master channel for anything. So this is what I'm gonna get to. So I made a song, and then I heard the song, and I thought it was a different song when I did this the other day. And I realized that finally I went to track 12 and I went, there it is. But then I listened to it and I was like, as soon as I heard it, I thought, God, it's hot, but it has everything. And I was like, oh, okay. And then I kind of thought about it a little bit and I experimented. So what I ended up doing was I can use track 7 and 8, which there's no preference to why it's 7 and 8, other than that's what it really is designed for. It's a double track ability. You know, it has 2 channels if you want to choose the option, but it's just 1 channel, so it's complicated, but you'll figure it out. But so I put so I can use samples, like I can use the output of track 7 and 8, and I'm not certain for that. I'm still experimenting with it. So I put my Micro Freak on channel 7 and 8, which is just 1 track, but it gives me the ability to try to explain this. There's a load balance where it shows 7/8, so you can use either 7 and 8, but you can't really designate it. It's just the way it's set up. But that's a tutorial on how this is done. It's pretty amazing. I'll put it on YouTube. So let me have a little fun here.